The whole story of Boruto could be an infinite time loop, and the missing Otsutsuki panels are a living proof of it. Ever since the introduction of these missing sigils, there have been countless theories on who they could be, from Jashin and Shibai to the Otsutsukis who discovered the planet before Kaguya and Ishhiki. But what if I told you they are actually Boruto and Kawaki? Well, that's what I did exactly 3 years ago, and since the story has received a lot more plot updates, I think it's the right time to explore this possibility again with new thoughts and theories. It all started with this single comment on my second Boruto is Shibai video, so let's cover everything which makes this case appear more plausible. It all started with this hill-like structure in the Ten Tails dimension where we got to see 6 sigils representing different Otsutsuki. The first 2 from the left were based on Momoshiki and Kinshiki, the middle ones portrayed Ishiki and Kaguya, and the ones on the extreme right were mysteriously destroyed, concealing the identity of the Otsutsuki who were behind them. Now take a look at their mysterious placement. It starts with the Momoshiki ones and ends with the destroyed pair. While this could mean that Momoshiki and Kinshiki arrived before Kaguya's duo and the other two, it's actually the complete opposite, and here is why. Traditional Japanese books, newspapers and calligraphy are often written vertically, starting at the top of the rightmost column and moving downwards with columns arranged right to left. Even a manga is read in the same format, which means the chronology of these emblems follow the same sequence. And by this we can conclude the missing Otsutsukis outdate the arrival of Ishiki and Kaguya, which brings us to the most important question. Why are these sigils destroyed? While they are definitely a setup to something big, like future Otsutsukis, but the fact that no one ever mentioned them is kinda odd. We had Momoshiki who never said anything about the Otsutsuki who were sent before Kaguya, even though he did mention some god changing the history of humanity before. There was no hint indicating that he was talking about these 2 missing creatures. But if we cut the crap and assume these sigils belong to Shibai and his pair, the mystery of their destruction still remains. So here are a few possibilities for what could have led to their wreckage. First off, we gotta find out the reasons that affect the state of these sigils. And we can do that by examining the fate of all the Otsutsuki whose sigils were intact. Momoshiki used the karma on Boruto, which means the resurrection seal doesn't impact these emblems. Then we have Kinshiki who got absorbed, yet his emblem did not get affected. The case of Kaguya and Ishiki is pretty unique, since one of them was sealed and the other one died, which means these emblems have nothing to do with whether the associated Otsutsuki are living or not. This leaves us with 2 options. Either the Otsutsukis ascended to godhood, which erased the proof of their mortal existence from this realm, or it could be that they themselves destroyed these sigils to vanish the evidence of their existence altogether. And this is where things get interesting. Assuming it was Shibai and his pair who destroyed their sigils to wipe themselves out from history, wouldn't it be odd for Amado to know so much about Shibai or Otsutsuki? If the whole purpose of destroying the sigils was to wipe out their name from history, that they could have done with omnipotence too, then how does Amado have so much intel about the god Otsutsuki? That's not the only mystery surrounding the scientist. We still don't know how he obtained the remains of Shibai, became a master at cloning some Otsutsuki techniques, and why in the world was he the only one to come across this divine material among all the other characters in the verse? Was it fate, coincidence, or something much deeper than that? Well, if you look at this scene from the anime where Amado is seen with the cloning tech of Delta, it looks utterly similar to the Otsutsuki panels from the Ten Tails dimension. This means he's somehow copying the technology of the Celestial clan as well, and this brings us to the first stepping stone of our main theory. Amado could be one of the 2 missing Otsutsukis. He could have come to the planet with Shibai and destroyed the sigils upon arrival to prevent the Otsutsuki clan from knowing their whereabouts. The true form of Amado could be some Otsutsuki, and he could have been utilizing their technology in the guise of a human being to fulfill some greater purpose. Now to add some more cherries on the Otsutsuki Amado theory, it's possible that some other Otsutsuki could have destroyed the missing tablets out of jealousy too, but that won't impact the associated Otsutsuki since they could have already left the planet for good. So as for why the Amado and Shibai theory makes sense, if you go back to the time when Sasuke was exploring this dimension, we could see him stepping on each sigil to see a projection of the related Otsutsuki. So if by chance these 2 emblems were intact, Sasuke would have not just discovered Shibai Otsutsuki, but also his mischievous partner, in this case Amado. And by looking at how he mimics the technology found in this dimension, it seems like him being an Otsutsuki is very much plausible. Now this is where it all gets interesting. Keeping the whole AKB plot aside, we have haven't been given any proper backstory of Amado, which is kind of weird, cause he knows too much and is arguably the most dangerous person alive. He could have created an army of tamed cyborgs, all powered by Shibai cells, to start dominating the world, but for some reasons, he stuck to the plan of reviving his daughter in the most intriguing way possible. We still don't know how he came across Ida and Daemon, the siblings who were compatible with Shibai's DNA, and there's even something odd with his cyborg creation tactics that I have noticed. For Jigen, he had to kill hundreds of children with his experiments to find the perfect match for the karma. But for the Shibai Shinjutsu experiment, he literally handpicked the people and most of them were compatible with the divine cells. Now it could be that the time taken by different people to react with the cells of an Otsutsuki god is not even, based on how Kochi unlocked the prescience on the verge of death. The fact that Amado was able to find cyborgs whose abilities collectively push the narrative forward can't be a coincidence at all. As said by Shikamaru, everything is going according to his master script, and that could only be possible if he had the knowledge of what's coming, which can only happen in two scenarios. Either he secretly has the power of prescience, explaining how his actions are sequentially affecting the storyline, or he has come back from the future to impact the events of the current timeline. So what if the two missing Otsutsukis, Amado and Shibai, are actually a counterpart of Kawaki and Boruto from a future timeline? It may sound absurd, but after finishing this video, you might start to believe in this too. Time travel is an element that I'm waiting to see in Two Blue Vortex, not just because I personally like it, but also due to a number of hints pointing at the same. First and foremost, there is a huge Dragon Ball influence on Two Blue Vortex, and in the middle of all this inspiration barricade, I'm pretty sure that the time travel plot would also be instated in some way. The whole point of Future Trunks coming back to save the other timeline doesn't undo the events and destruction of his own timeline. This means traveling through time creates another timeline in the verse, and that's the whole concept of branched realities. When an individual travels through time, it has no impact on the events of their own timeline, but leads to the creation of another one, which ends up having different events. And judging by that intel, it can be concluded that the missing Otsutsukis originally belonged to another timeline and have came back in time to orchestrate something that they couldn't fulfill in their own version of reality. So if Amado is future Kawaki, then he could be guiding his younger self to a predetermined path, a destiny that he couldn't achieve himself. It all fits too well with the greater narrative that I will catch on to in a moment, but let's first get over all the hints which indicate they both are the same person. So the most obvious ones come from their appearance and the unreal obsession of Amado with Kawaki. He carefully wrote the script in a way that every move is purposefully aimed at impacting Kawaki in a certain manner. Like the only cyborg with the divine power of omnipotence somehow ended up falling in love with Kawaki. We haven't been given any reasons for why Ida blindly loves this individual, and the incident of omnipotence proved that it was a clever setup. But the mystery still remains, and I believe she could have been programmed by Amado to act like that. There are many other points in the story where he figured out something about Kawaki that nobody could have caught, like the powerlessness that he felt after losing the karma, or the desperation of surpassing Boruto and Code. What if these are not just observations, but a proper reflection of his past tendencies that are now clearly visible in Kawaki's form, possibly because they are the same people from different timelines. Now before you tell me they have different eye color, take a look at this panel where Ida reveals Amado has modified his eyes with scientific ninja tech. So if his eyes are working on some iris command system to control his cyborgs, then a change in their pigmentation should also be possible. So now that we are done with both the possibility of Amado turning out as future Kawaki and the likelihood of time travel to be a part of the story, it's time to dissect the missing Otsutsuki mystery by unveiling the identity of Shibai as future Boruto. We will also get into the role of Akebi in between all this, which is equally mind-blowing, but let's first understand the hints of time travel within the series itself. It was the anime exclusive time slip arc in which Urashiki used the time travel turtle to go back in time and steal some Nine-Tails chakra from young Naruto. While it was a filler arc, it has set a precedent for a potential time-based plot twist in Boruto's future. Similarly, in the video game Naruto x Boruto Ultimate Ninja Storm, Toneri introduced the item Time Reservoir, which allowed two types of time travel. First one is observation only, in which the traveler's consciousness moves to the past but cannot interact with it. The second is physical time travel, in which the person's body moves back in time, enabling them to affect the past. And judging by all these revelations, a huge time travel twist becomes more plausible. So how could Shibai actually turn out as future Boruto? Well, the whole idea behind this plot twist emerges from the similarities between both the characters, not just in terms of appearance, but the abilities and nature styles as well. But that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the missing Otsutsuki theory. In chapter 35, Jigen envisioned both Boruto and Kawaki wearing black robes in their Otsutsuki form. Surprisingly, the same outfit was worn by Shibai, and he's the only Otsutsuki Otsutsuki who doesn't wear the white noble outfit. Not just that, Shibai is also the only Otsutsuki who doesn't have Shiki in his name. And looking at how every male Otsutsuki has this suffix in their name, I'm pretty sure that Shibai wearing the black attire, as well as not having Shiki in his name, is hinting at something big. So just because Jigen envisioned Boruto and Kawaki with the same apparel, what if the clan expects its members, who originally belonged to a different race, to wear black attire? This would mean that Shibai evolved from a different race, just like Boruto, and this sets the scene for their unexpected connection. Boruto and Shibai could be the same entity, which would explain all the similarities that they share. But here comes the twist. The divine being who is protecting the prodigy from the heavens could be Boruto himself, but from an alternate timeline where he becomes Shibai Otsutsuki. So let's break it down and sum it all up to the missing Otsutsuki theory. The idea stems from the possibility of an alternate timeline where Boruto and Kawaki both turned into Otsutsukis, but the events that followed were completely different than the ones that we see in the story right now. So after this timeline messes up, just like what happened to future Trunks, Boruto and Kawaki, who are both Otsutsukis, take different approaches with their life, with Boruto turning into an Otsutsuki god after centuries worth of grind who goes by the title Shibai, and Kawaki tries to destroy the Otsutsuki clan, which was one of his original missions but ends up failing miserably. Sooner or later he reconnects with Boruto, who is now Shibai, and then they formulate the plan of fixing the timeline once for all. So both of them go back in time to prevent the other timeline from facing the same fate. They don't directly enter the Ten Tails dimension, but they explore the parts of this new universe for centuries in order to spread their name in the cosmos. And connecting this to the panel of Kami Otsutsuki, it can be concluded that the true god of the birds, who belongs to a now extinct universe, was different than Shibai Otsutsuki, who's actually Boruto from another timeline and is more like a glitch in the matrix in the present one. And when you think about the statement of Momoshiki about the Otsutsuki gods rewriting history before, it makes sense when you realize how the Otsutsuki clan might be knowing about the intervention of gods from another timeline. Sooner or later, Amado and Shibai could have found the planet Earth, after which they infiltrated the Ten Tails dimension, which formed their emblems that they deliberately destroyed to prevent the other Otsutsuki from knowing that they are on the planet. Shibai could have then left his mortal body with Amado to experiment with his daughter, but she ends up dead, a future that they had already foreseen, and Amado starts orchestrating the true plan with the creation of more cyborgs powered by the Shibai cells. All in all, the whole story could be a loop led by the missing Otsutsukis, the humanized Amado, and the deity Shibai, who were originally Kawaki and Boruto in another timeline. The role of Akebi could be to become the other blue vortex who would help Boruto in wiping out the huge threats, as Kawaki is far from redemption and stubborn, a reality that can't be changed. So that may be why Amado, his future counterpart, decided to have a daughter in this world who would join hands with Boruto in preventing the present timeline from facing the same fate. Not just that, the cyborgs of Amado like Kashin Koji have helped Boruto in awakening abilities that he was meant to acquire later. Another reason for a plot twist like this to happen comes from the immensity of the omnipotence twist from chapter 79. Any twist of that level will not affect the fans with the same intensity, so a time travel based twist as monumental as Attack on Titan could bring some tremendous hype to the story. So that was how the missing Otsutsuki could turn out to be Boruto and Kawaki. You can check out these videos for more such theories. Also make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.